while we're waiting for Ken, does anybody have any announcements they want to make?
Yes, our awards dinner is June 23rd, and we would like very much for everyone to attend, please. North County SBCAN Awards.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Thank you.
And Gail
we are awarding Lompoc AAUW because they do all of the forums for candidates for school board, city council, supervisors, whoever's running for whatever. So they are being awarded very deservedly. And Joyce Ellen and I spent the day together on Friday at Lompoc Senior Fair, didn't we?
Yes, thank you. It was great.
And we got a whole page of signups. People
wonderful.
interested.
It was for the League of Women Voters, some tabling, and look forward to bringing in some new members, a little more action at the league.
Hold on a half second. I've got to kill mine.
That's great. What about other League of Women Voters or AAUW events you guys doing?
Well, the league is having its annual meeting on Saturday, June 8th, sometime in the morning. But the speaker should be interesting. It's the state director for the League of Women Voters.
Chris Carson.
That's for the South County League, right?
No, that's for the North.
North County League.
Oh, great.
Because it's now the League of Women Voters, if you haven't heard already, has changed its name. We are the League of Women Voters of North Santa Barbara County, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. And we got some fancy, nice new business cards and if you're interested in healthcare, I'm on the health committee, the chair. So if you want to join my committee, I'm happy to have you.
This is a bit in the future, but the Gray Panthers of Santa Barbara County, which includes both North and South, there's going to be a meeting, probably Zoom, on June 20th regarding property taxes and inheritance taxes and how that affects our citizenry, especially the older adults. So, Sarah, you're unmuted.
That sounds like something that if we get as much information ahead of time, that's something I think everybody should tune into.
And yes, I just thought I'd give advance notice. That's the date I've been told, but you know, things are always subject to change. Harry Hagan, the county assessor tax collector, is going to be one of the speakers. So.
Well, I'd like to make an announcement. SBCAN just got information from the McCune Foundation that we're getting a $13,350 grant to do restorations of former encampments on the Santa Maria River. So we're working with Channel Islands Restoration to do that and to bring volunteers together to create a river keepers group to be involved in watershed issues. Then it's kind of it's going along with the same type of way that we tried to start with estuary testing last year and couldn't because the road was wiped out. But this is another effort to get people involved in the watershed and to clean it up. So we're really happy with that. We're also very happy that our program, Youth Arts Alive, just received a $10,000, I forget exactly, but some $10,000 or $12,000 grant from McCune Foundation for their Youth Arts Alive program that they're now doing year-round, but mostly in the summer. Yeah, so that's been really great. We're really excited. Okay, anybody else? Cliff, come on, I know you've got something going
on. The Santa Maria Philharmonic is having its garden party It will be Sunday, the 19th. We've got plenty of seats available. Tickets are $75. It goes to raise money for the wonderful Santa Maria Philharmonic. So if ever anyone's interested in that, they can always give me a contact. I'll put my email in the chat. So that's my announcement.
Great, thank you. And Sarah, you had mentioned something earlier. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Oh, let's see what else is happening. I'm I'll be interested to watch the city council meeting early because it was at the same time as the NAACP meeting on what was the response was to the Vernon Edwards group of the new downtown redevelopment plans that they're doing. And Juneteenth is coming up on June 15th in Lompoc in Old Town. Just Pride will be held on Sunday, June 9th at the Fair Park. So I'm trying to remember. I mean, I'm getting back into doing the calendar after my 2 busy weeks of the year, and so we're finally getting everything back. So you'll be getting those.
Great, great, wonderful.
EDC's fundraiser is June 9th.
I'm sorry, which one? EDC?
EDC, blue and green.
Okay, well, Ken and Janet were both going to speak on the Sentinel Peak Resources Truck Rack project, but it looks like Ken is really wrapped up with something. So Janet, would you like to go ahead and start speaking on that?
Well, just to say that Freeport McMoran is the owner of these wells, and they want to start producing that heavy, awful, sludgy stuff and ship it with, I can't remember how many truckloads a day, 6 maybe a day, or 5 a day for 50 years. So, and it was approved automatically by the county. Thank you so much, Aaron. I haven't even called him to give him hell over it. So Ken had to file an appeal, which he did. And so the Planning Commission hearing is on, I believe, August 12th. Let me look for sure.
They were really good about trying to accommodate us because our group wasn't available. They wanted to go, I think, June to start with, and he was saying no, or maybe it was July.
Yeah, so it's the 14th of August at 9 o'clock for the Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission is not going to say okay. Pretty darn sure. So that will be great. And we'll just put them out of business if necessary.
Do you have lawyers who are working with you?
No, no.
Are you thinking of?
EDC is too busy, and no, we don't. And I don't think we need them. I mean, the Planning Commission is not going to accept that. They haven't accepted a new oil project in years. So
Hopefully not, but it would be nice to know you had some lawyers standing by in case.
well, if
It goes from planning to the Board of Supervisors?
yeah. So if the Planning Commission okays it, which there's no way they will, it would go to the board, and they won't approve it either.
It's strange that this got approved, from the local office.
Well, because they forgot I live here, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen Aaron in a long time. So I don't know what the hell he was thinking.
They should have known better. Yeah.
They should have. I mean, come on, people. Jeez.
Jenna's not gonna let
Kidding
this.
me? And they're going to drive down Harris Grade Road to the
I'm
highway.
gonna do that again.
Yeah. And it's not, their plant is not a long way up Harris Grade, but, and I've also been informed by a woman I know whose husband used to work at this site that the main building on this site is sinking.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so I need to let Joan know so she can do some investigating.
Yeah.
So do you
And I
have,
need to call Aaron Briggs and say, hey, Aaron, remember me?
do you,
What the
is there,
heck did you think you were doing?
yes,
That's right.
good idea. Is there information about where the trucking route goes and
Yeah,
where do they
Yeah,
process?
yeah. They're going down Harris Grade to the one, right at the Y in Lompoc. And the traffic there is so impacted, it's just ridiculous. And then they're going to go and they're not doing 166, they're doing what, 45 and
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to have jumped out. It was an important call I'd been waiting for a long time. And thanks, Jeannie, for jumping in, and Janet for getting this item going. And the route is one over past Vandenberg and then down to 135, over to Betaravia in the middle of Santa Maria, and then a couple of miles on Betaravia to 101, 101 to Paso Robles, and then 46, and then to 41, which is that's a dangerous intersection. Of course, made famous in the 50s when a famous actor died at that intersection, and it still doesn't have a grade separation. It's a dangerous corner, and then hence to Highway 33 and to Coalinga, 165 miles both ways. 6 trucks a day, every day for 50 years.
why not?
Why
Why
not?
not? And it just gets an automatic approval. I can't,
So
I just can't get over
did
that.
you,
Is there press out about it?
there's not press yet. Thank you and I'm sorry, I don't know, I'm not sure how much I missed, but thank you, Janet, for getting it rolling. But I wanted to say why, did you already cover why it is that this company is not currently producing their oil?
No,
Okay, so there's a
Hit it.
refinery that had been running for 50 years called the Santa Maria Refinery by Phillips 66.
Yeah.
And that's it's across the river in SLO County, but it's called Santa Maria Refinery. And it refined oil from all the onshore oil from Santa Maria area and Lompoc area. And it would refine it partway and put it in a pipeline to head up to Rodeo in the Bay Area to be finished. Well, Phillips decided to change their Rodeo refinery to biofuels, and therefore they closed the Santa Maria refinery a little over 2 years ago. And when that happened, I thought, oh, great, all this Cat Canyon oil that is getting pumped and processed at Phillips 66, they're going to stop process. Well, they didn't stop. Instead of driving 8 miles to a pump station in Santa Maria and through a pipe to that little refinery and then up to the Bay Area, they now truck that oil to LA and over to Kern County and probably to Coalinga as well. And they're going full steam. And in those cases, in Cat Canyon, they already had their so-called truck racks because they were trucking the oil 8 miles to the Battles pump station in Santa Maria. And so they don't need another permit. They've got their truck rack, and the county can't say you can't drive your truck 100 miles or 200 miles instead of 8 miles. They have their truck rack. So in the case in this Sentinel Peak in Lompoc, they don't have a truck rack, and the pipeline that they were using got shut down. So they want to get restarted. And so it's pretty similar to the ExxonMobil deal, except we're not talking about restarting offshore platforms. We're talking about restarting some production up the hill from where Janet lives and 50,000 other people live in Lompoc Valley, and then having the impact. It's almost all different highways than the ExxonMobil, but it's the same idea. No, it's not Highway 166, but 46 and 41. Those are not real safe roads. They're not as bad as
Especially at night.
166, but the people that use those roads and that live in those counties, they don't know that this is even happening. And
No.
Thank you
they don't
so
know.
much for filing the appeal, Ken.
So you're welcome. So we filed an appeal and it didn't cost us anything. I thought it was going to be $700 and our board approved spending the money if we had to, but energy
Didn't.
department appeals don't cost. And so appealing to the planning commission didn't cost. It'll cost the time that we put into it. And I put a fair amount of time already and I got a lot more to do. And the board approved some additional, well, they approved $1,000 or $2,000, I forget. And I think what I want to do is try to get the interns that did work for EDC on the ExxonMobil trucking and get them to do the kind of research you need to pull up with Freedom of Information Act requests the details on accidents on this route, especially accidents by trucks and especially accidents with tanker trucks. So the appeal is almost for sure going to be on August 12th, I think, or
Yes, 12th,
okay. So they just affirmed this
14th,
morning,
sorry, 14th.
August 14th, and it'll be in
Okay.
Santa Maria, and it will be accessible via Zoom. And they're checking with the applicant, or maybe they told me the applicant was okay with it. So it's
Yeah.
almost certainly on that day.
That'll be on a, what time when do they usually meet on those kind of
Nine
things?
They meet at
9 o'clock,
9 o'clock, and they always
Is
have
that on a
virtual-
Wednesday or a Tuesday?
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Well, you just count me in. I'll
Okay.
take a day off from being at the church and I'll go fight for God's creation.
Thank you. You know, the ExxonMobil fight was won on that trucking proposal, and there were dozens of people that came to hearings and that wrote letters, and a lot of students from UCSB were involved in that, and it's going to be tougher on this one, right? Because
No, it's not.
It's not the offshore oil, so there's some people that are.
The planning commission will never okay it.
Oh, no, I think we're going to win, but it's going to be tough to get the kind of turnout that you need to really give if there's a wavering commissioner, or when we appeal it, if we have to the board, and somebody will appeal it to the county board. And one county board member who I saw yesterday at a celebration of a victory that we had with EDC representing us, one of the county supervisors asked me if we were appealing it and said that that was good that we were, which of course that doesn't mean that she's going to vote our way. She's going to need, like she needed in that case, a lot of support to be able to make the kind of motion that you need to make that's full of the details to have all the findings in the record.
In 2024, with the kind of weather we're having from climate change,
Mhm.
that, you know, it's not debatable anymore. I'm sorry. It's just not. We don't need everybody there. We just need to say,
I think
no,
you need everybody there. I mean, I think you need to really let people know
we
this is
will, and
coming.
hopefully there'll be a lot of people, but
yeah.
we
And-
don't
and
need a lot of people.
I have a question. Does this truck route go by St. Mary's Lompoc on Harris Grade, or do they go the
Yes.
other way?
Down.
Okay. That gives us another bunch of people to have them to turn out.
We could also start a petition that people could sign to say that they're against it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think so.
And then there will be publicity. I had thought that maybe the day that I filed the appeal, I put out a press release, but then right away I could tell it's going to be a couple of months or more until it's going to be heard. And so I thought maybe it'd be better to get the publicity going a little bit later when it's closer to that coming up. But I'm open to suggestions on that point.
I'm in a, I know this is a nonpartisan group, but but Ken, if you would like to come to brunch next week at our DIM meeting, you could make that announcement, even though it's a little bit further ahead. It's just kind of gets our heads around it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good, thanks. And that we can do that sort of thing. I mean, as a 501c3, we can't endorse a candidate for office.
Yeah, but I want people to know about it.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Cliff.
Yeah, I would, and I just certainly let Taylor know at the Santa Maria Sun.
Oh, yeah.
When you start putting out information, because I'm sure the Sun will pick up on this.
Yeah,
And
Taylor.
Taylor is calling me about women's health care in Lompoc, which is interesting. That's a whole
Yep.
nother topic,
Yep,
which is
Taylor's
legal
very
but
good.
not allowed.
Taylor's good.
Yes, she
Hmm.
is. She's very
So
thorough.
I think we should put out the publicity as soon as we're ready to do it, rather than waiting, because if we want to get people knowing about it, signing up, signing petitions or writing letters, the longer they have to do that, the better.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I'm sold. And Jeannie's going to help me write maybe she'll interview me and help as a means of drafting the first press release.
Whatever it takes.
I think we
And-
should interview Aaron Briggs and ask him his reasoning.
Yeah, and I talked to Aaron. I called him to make sure on Monday to make sure, like at 4 o'clock, I called him. So I'd filed the thing at 2:30, make sure before close of business that he had gotten it. And he had, and that was my opportunity to ask him that. And I didn't. I asked a couple other questions, but I should have asked him. So why on earth did you think that you would just approve this, or your boss would approve this at that level, that there wouldn't be
He's
the
forgotten about me.
that, like nobody would
He's forgotten
approve
that
it?
I live in Lompoc.
Yeah.
Because I used to be on his case constantly.
He probably figured you were too busy with the school board to bother him anymore.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Ugh.
And I talked to the planning commissioner whose district it's in, that's Roy Reed. And I wasn't I didn't call him to talk about this in particular, but we're waiting for a housing element hearing to take place. And I guess it was the Board of Soups meeting on that. And so it was delayed by half an hour to get started. And so Roy and I were chatting about 3 or 4 things. And so I brought this up, and he right away picked up on that. He knew that it was for 50 years. He said, yeah, it's not as many trucks a day as ExxonMobil, but it's for 50 years. And so it's almost as many trucks if you look at it that way. It's that magnitude, he said. And so he said, you might think he's got some interest in I think represents people who own
Yes, he does.
interest in oil that's underground. But he said, you might think one way, but not all the time. So I think
That's
he's got
good.
an open mind, and I think there's others that do as well. But they need facts to hang their hat on. Even the most
Yes.
liberal, they need. That's why I want to track down the best accident data, or the worst, that I can. I'm not hoping that there were a lot of bloody accidents or anything, but if there were.
Can you get information like that from Caltrans or from CHP?
Caltrans and CHP are the places to go. And I want to hire some interns to do that, or get volunteers to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. Anything else on Sentinel Peak? And Pale Blue Dot, if that's the right title to put on there. And I didn't list Jan Keller on here because Janet's a board member and I'm the staff, but Janet has put out a bunch of stuff on this and knows as much or more than any of us.
No,
do.
not really. Jan Keller does, though.
That's what I was saying. Jan Keller knows a ton on it, and Joyce Howerton knows a lot about it too. And she was hoping to be here, and she might turn up still. But I'll just say a few words and then ask the two of you who live there to give us more. But as I understand it, in the 80s, the federal government had surplus land, and they gave it to the city of Lompoc, and I think they did so when Joyce was mayor. or at least she was very involved. And it was given that with the caveat that it couldn't be used for commercial use. And it became, at least a lot of the land became the Ken Adam Park. And now the city council is taking action to place via a resolution, an item on the November ballot to so the voters could vote to change that restriction, I guess, to rezone it so that it could be commercial, to get rid of that caveat that it cannot be commercial.
That's
And
not quite what the story is, but
okay,
but-
well, I'm giving my as I got it, and then you're gonna fill me in, fill us all in on the real true thing. But in that material, what they will tell the voters is here, and here's, for example, here's what we'll do with it, but it's not a guarantee, but this is what they would do with it. And so it would be
And it is commercial.
an amusement park, which would be commercial, yeah. But it could end up being other commercial. The voters will be voting, as I understand it, on exactly, it's going to be this amusement park, but rather that it could be commercial and removing that restriction.
Amusement park.
Oh,
Anyway,
to do with space, since it's near Vandenberg. And
Oh, one of those kinds of things. Oh
So,
my God.
I'm going to be quiet and see if Janet, you want to go first, or give us more.
No, I think Jan Keller should
Okay.
tell us all about it.
please.
okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
It'll probably be very amusing.
Well, it isn't, because
I know.
giving up parkland for whatever purpose is not a good idea. So since 2019, this organization called Pale Blue Dot Ventures has been trying to get the city to sell them the property. And I put sell in quotes because we're talking about 82 acres. And at one point they thought that 500,000 would be a good price to buy it. So the city's been in constant negotiation. And now they're pushing to, Pale Blue Dot says, in order for them to raise any money at all for this project, they have to have a right to use the land. And under its current designation, it's the legal description says it's for educational and recreational purposes, for open space, or for a combination of the above. Well, this Pale Blue Dot Ventures decided they're going to make this an education center for space technology. But the proposals have, the first one they did look like an amusement park, and I will give it that. They've toned it down some, but it still has stuff like they'll have living spaces that will simulate being in outer space and things like that. So, but that's not the issue. The most immediate issue is that on April 14th, the council voted, or April 16th, the council voted to put this on the ballot in November. And they set up a protest hearing for the public to weigh in on protesting putting the measure on the ballot. Now, the measure is not the Pale Blue Dot. The measure is a discontinuance of the use of the 82 acres of land, including Ken Adam Park. And so basically it's to change the designation of the property. This does not change the limits on the property for educational and recreational purposes. The thing about it not being for commercial use isn't specifically delineated that way, as far as I can tell. But the fact that it's can only be used for educational and recreational purposes or open space kind of says it can't be commercial, even though it doesn't say no commercial. So, and they're thinking they can get around this by making it educational. And they're working with the school district, and Janet can weigh in a little bit more on that. They've hired somebody who's supposedly a school expert for setting up school programs. I don't think the thing will ever fly, but once the city discontinues the use as a park, it's open for all kinds of purposes. However, because of the limitations in the deed, it can't be used for housing. And there was some sort of miscommunication about whether it could or it couldn't, because the council also passed a resolution saying that it's exempt from a code section, which basically says it can be used. Surplus property has to be put in use for first priority for affordable housing, but this is exempt because of the limitations in the deed.
So,
And when is that complaint?
That the
Time.
hearing is on the 21st of May at 6:30 or soon thereafter, as it can be heard at the council meeting. I'm going to be out of town. I will submit something in writing. If anyone, well, Ken has a copy of the memo the email that I sent out to the final draft of the email that I sent out. And if anybody else wants that, this measure is only going to be voted on if it continues to be on the ballot, which I'm pretty sure the council will not listen to any of the protests and keep it on the ballot. Only city residents can vote on it because it's city property. So, but the people that are going to be mostly impacted by this, well, the city residents, but also in the unincorporated areas of the county, but they don't have a say.
Yeah. Jeannie, you had a question?
yeah, you were saying they're gonna change the designation. I didn't quite understand from what to what.
They're going to discontinue it from a park use to property that they can sell, basically. So they have to discontinue the park use of it so that they can sell it. Or let me see, I'll read you the okay, the decision whether to change the use of the site, approve entitlements for any proposed use of the site, or change the zoning of the site, or to sell or dispose of the site will remain solely within the discretion of the city council, even after the park designation is removed. So they still have to go through whatever they're going to do with it. And since it's city property, which will probably no longer be designated a park, then they can put it up to, they should put it up to the highest bidder, but since they've been doing this negotiation since 2019 with this Pale Blue Dot group, it'll be interesting what happens. And it's just very concerning that the city's willing to give up 82 acres of land.
I've seen the signs for Ken Adam Park and I see it on the map, but I've never stopped there to see what is Ken Adam Park.
It's a bunch of oak trees with picnic tables with a nice view.
Yeah, and it's kind of adjoining the Hancock Center, isn't it?
Right, it's right adjacent to the Hancock.
Yeah.
The other issue is we don't have the infrastructure. Our traffic is already at a D- at Central and H, and moving north from there, people coming down from Burton Mesa, the traffic is all the way back up as far as you can see.
And that's an issue that's going to come first. The city's going to, well, if the voters approve discontinuing the use, and that means there's if it goes through on the November ballot, it's another issue to have to do battle with. And we don't have the human power here in Lompoc to set up a whole campaign committee, no on measure, whatever, to oppose this or even do literature. We just don't have the.
And that's when the school district is trying to pass a bond issue.
Right, along with, whatever else is on the November ballot.
So it just stinks. It's just, it's
so,
just stinky.
I mean, we'll have to do that battle about environmental impacts should the city sell the property to somebody that wants to develop it somehow. And I think there's a lawsuit in there because I don't think this, I'll put amusement park in quotes, meets the covenants. And even though they say it's mostly for educational purposes, but when you know, pave over all that land and say you're gonna have hundreds of thousands of people each year coming to visit it, that's.
And they're charging admission. I mean, the prices
Yeah,
are
no,
not,
it's definitely they're gonna charge admission. And that's assuming they're the ones to buy the property. Now, I wish we could find somebody else to buy those 82 acres. Parkland or not, but I don't know of anybody that's got money. Because the city, like I said, has been negotiating, and that $1 amount that came up was only 500,000. I think we could come up with 500,000 to buy the property, but we're not in negotiations with the city. The only entity that is the Pale Blue Dot. I don't think anybody else is going to want this property because it's got a whole bunch of, you know, issues to deal with it, which, you know, Janet pointed out. You know, all the environmental impacts, traffic, water.
and
sewage.
our Tom Blanco, yay, Tom Blanco is a signee on this
Oh,
notice of intent to circulate petition.
oh, let me point that out. Prior to the council voting to put this on the ballot, the Pale Blue Dot groupies filed to circulate a petition, you know, put a legal notice in the paper to circulate a petition, and they are circulating that petition to put the matter on the ballot. So if the city just, you know, the protest goes through and the city decides not to put this on the ballot, the Pale Blue Dot's doing a petition simultaneously to get it put on the ballot, for which the voters have no say whether it goes on the ballot. It's slimy. I'm not so sure it wasn't directed by the city attorney, but you know, if you really want this on the ballot, you better do this, you know, that type of thing. So we have this protest hearing on the 21st. I think anybody can protest. They may not pay any attention to it at all, and it's going to go on the ballot. And whether or not the wording that's going to be on the ballot is the wording that the proponents of the Pale Blue Dot project are proposing is yet to be seen. And there's one sentence in their proposal that is very interesting with, not only would it inspire the next generation of technicians, engineers, rocket scientists, explorers, and adventurers, but also help pull Lompoc out of a 30-plus year
50 years of endemic poverty.
Of endemic poverty. That's what they put in their notice. So anyway, it just is very frustrating. And the city, you know, at least, well, 3 members of the city council are definitely in favor of this project. There's 2 others that are a little wishy-washy, but
What about Jeremy Ball?
oh, he's all in favor of this project.
Hmm.
I don't know what happened that he switched to that side, but he is.
So is there a legal argument, or is there a law, something that we can use that's legal to say that you can't change that designation even by putting it on the ballot?
No, they can change the designation, but what it comes up then is future use of the property.
Who gave the property to the city with the designation that it be?
The federal government. There was a quit claim deed in 1984 between the City of Lompoc and the federal government. And originally the federal government's intention was that there be some sort of space center on the project, but a nonprofit, you know, educational center. In 1984, there was a proposal to do it. It fell through. Then there was another proposal to do it, and that fell through. And this may be the 3rd or 4th proposal, but this one they've been negotiating since 2019. So, but I think the main legal argument, should the voters approve discontinuing this as a park, which I wish there was some way to tell them no, because you know, this whole pie in the sky, you know, we're gonna bring money to Lompoc, that type of thing. You know, is what they're gonna propose, and they have lots of money to do, you know, for their campaign and everything.
Hmm.
I mean, I say lots of money, you know, because they've been collecting money for this project. And I don't know that it's designated specifically for the project. It could be used for their ballot measure. That's another thing where there might be a legal argument is, are they a campaign committee and are they using their monies properly? So, I mean, I've thought of all these things. I just don't have the time or energy to follow through on any of it.
And
So,
so
Go
hey,
ahead.
Jan, is there a cadre of people that are like-minded with you that or is it
well, you know,
only-
it's hard to tell. I mean, two of our members own the pocket of the developer, you know, the amusement park developers, so they're all gung ho, so the Dem Club can't, you know, isn't a safe avenue to, you know, protest this through. I mean, I've got a list of about 20 people that, you know, I've sent my letter to, trying to get them to at least write a letter about the meeting. So the answer is, I don't know. My biggest hope is that the populace just votes no on any measure if they vote at all. So,
Jan, I'm curious, and you know, I worked at Vandenberg, so I know how it works. Is Vandenberg expressed any comment one way or another about this
as far,
development?
Janet's mouthing things with her microphone off, so I don't know what she said, but it was like,
They have
oh,
expressed no interest whatsoever,
yeah,
none.
none.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
they
And I'm
okay.
going to the luncheon at the base this week or next week, and I'm gonna
Okay.
talk to somebody about it.
yeah,
Okay,
no, there's been nothing out of the base. I mean,
And
the
we don't
base, by
have
the way,
any,
I should mention the base, by the way, as you probably know, Cliff, has a museum there of space stuff.
yeah.
But somehow or another, these people seem to think, you know, moving it off the base and having it, you know,
Well, the biggest problem is just security. I mean,
Right.
the security is so tight on the base.
right.
Yes, you know, Janet, you're going to be able to get on the base, you know, but
well,
there's a
I
lot
had
of
to get a special
yeah.
pass,
There's just
and
there's just a lot of rigmarole that has to be done. So
You know,
even though
yes, the
one of our
yeah,
schools is on the base, but I, as a school board member,
yeah,
cannot get there without this special pass.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I should mention about one of the, you know, things that the proponents of the Pale Blue Dot project, which isn't a, you know, they have to buy the property and then get approval, you know, through all the various approvals. But they say that, you know, it's a great location. People can watch the launches. Well, people in Lompoc can watch the launches from our backyard. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so
Even
they're talking
on
about they're
weekends.
talking about bringing in busloads of people to come and watch these. You know, it's the whole idea is kind of like a dumb idea, but somehow or another they've managed to convince the city council that this is a Lompoc needs this. Now, I must admit that when I first moved to Lompoc, I said, you know, because there was a lot of vacant land around and Lompoc is a small city. I said, what would get us to grow is an amusement park. Boy, do I ever regret ever saying that. You know?
You said that.
I said that
Oh,
when I
eat your
first moved here,
words.
when I first
Mhm.
moved here, you know, 34 years ago, I mean, there wasn't much here at Lompoc. So I said, well, that would be one way to stimulate the economy. But
Yeah. Well,
Sweetie, they just
and
need to
qu-
put it where the old drive-in theater was.
and
yeah,
quite
well, that's
honestly,
county land.
Oh,
you know, quite honestly, when you know, when we first moved to Santa Maria, there weren't that many launches, and it was pretty exciting. I mean, I went up on Harris Grade and watched the launch, and I thought that was pretty cool. You know, now that we have launches once a week, it's gotten pretty old hat. So I'm curious if they get the same number of people, I think they call it Eagle's Nest, which is that it's located on one, if you go east of the base, the base gate, there's an area that's sort of designated for people to come and watch the launches. I kind of doubt that there are that many people who are going there anymore. But
can
at
watch
one
it from the
point,
parking lot
at
of
one
the
point, it was
area.
pretty exciting.
Yeah, and that's right, because there are so many now, the local people are pretty tainted on it, I think.
Yeah.
And
It's
because of the
it's become
coastal
a-
commission, now they have to do them at night. Most
Yeah.
of them.
It has to, and it's
Which is
noisy and
good.
it's and it
There's
pollutes.
supposed to
And
be-
When you
so,
try to
yeah,
sleep.
Speaking of that, there's supposed to be one at 8:20 tonight.
yeah.
It was
So-
supposed to be last night, but now. it's
Yeah,
tonight.
no, but it's supposed to now be 8:20 tonight. So anyway, that's as much as I can tell you. Oh, and by the way, the school board, Janet voted against it, but the other 4 members of school board voted in favor of the Pale Blue Dot Park.
Passed a resolution
Yeah.
in favor. And
But,
mine was the first
like-
vote. No! But it
Good
didn't matter.
for you. Sorry, y'all.
But anyway,
um,
the first issue is the 21st. Protest the city putting this on the ballot. And you can write just that. I object to this being on the ballot.
there
Jeannie,
might be, if we're talking about, if the city thinks this is gonna be helpful to them, it might be that it would be, that we should do some research to see whether what they have going in Florida is helpful to the economy around the Kennedy Space Center. And it might show that it is, and then in that case, we won't say anything. But if it shows that people are not really showing up to be tourists, then there's, it's not a thing for developing the economy.
Okay, so, there's been a fiscal or financial study for the project done. There was one done by the city and one done by the developer, and it's like barely gonna pencil out, if it even pencils out. But these people still want to go ahead with this. So, the main thing is, I object to putting this on the ballot. Giving up parkland at this point in time, it's absolutely a stupid thing to do.
I wonder if getting the Land Trust of Santa Barbara County involved would be helpful. Maybe there's
It
something.
would be, if you want to contact them on the cities and our little group of protesters, that would be fine, but I don't think it's not in their,
Yeah, since it's already, because it's already city land, it's like it should just stay that way. It's a park, let it
well,
stay.
yeah, well,
So how
I
could
agree,
we
but the
protect it if
city
they?
seems to think it's been designated, the city seems to think it's surplus land. I mean, no, but the park is not used very much, but the city doesn't make an effort to make it used, so.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's some way to protect it as parkland.
Well, let's probably not.
Make it a county park.
I'm gonna ask Salud.
Yeah, everybody who has a finger in the bucket, see what you can do. But
Hey, I
You know,
don't.
we have to have some way of, there's nobody to present the ammunition to the public. That's the biggest problem. And right now, the only issue before the public is whether to allow the measured on the ballot. So,
I have a quick question.
uh,
Are the funders the same ones who were against Joan Hartman?
hard to tell. Because they're keeping their funders under wraps. I should mention that one of their main proponents for the project, should the project be able to buy the land, is John Lynn, the former mayor of Lompoc.
Okay.
Say no more.
Yeah, well, for those that know him, they know he's
Mhm. Yeah.
a challenge. Anyway, so there you have it. That's all I have to say on that issue.
thank you
Yeah.
very
Okay.
much, Jan, and
And if you
everybody.
can think of anybody I should send the letter to, or the information, or if any of you want that,
Yes,
just-
please
it's
send it out to
Please.
everybody.
Please
Oh, I
send
don't
it
have-
to
well,
send it to Ken and.
Well,
and-
I've
and
got
send
it.
to me.
It's on my screen and I'll send it to everybody that's
Thank
in
you,
this
Ken.
meeting.
Thank
Yeah.
you, babe.
And so one reason I wanted to get this on our agenda was the same reason I wanted the Marine Sanctuary on here, is because our board hasn't dealt with either of these issues heretofore, and they're important issues. And so I wanted to get some discussion at a roundtable so that in the hope we could bring these items to our board and get a position, if appropriate, on either of them or both of them. And looking at our mission statement, well, we're preserving our environmental resources. That's in there. And this is an environmental resource. It's oak trees, and even if the park isn't used a lot, it's open space. It's a park. There's tables and oak trees. And
So
but
our next board meeting is the 30th.
yeah, it's after the 29th.
29th.
So it's a week after this hearing. So I don't think we're going to be at this hearing. And if I go to the hearing and I get up, I'm liable to hear what I've heard other times at the city council. Now, sir, where do you live? And I try to just say, well, I represent SBCAN. We're a county-wide organization. We've got people that live all over the county, and including members in Lompoc. And but then they know I don't live there, and then some of them anyway, just sort of tune me out. So that wouldn't, and especially if I don't have the ability to get up and say, like on Bailey Avenue corridor, I don't be able to get up and say, well, our board, we sued you before. I wouldn't say that, but we did, and we had.
And how'd that work out?
Yeah, well, it worked. I mean, yeah. So far, Bailey has not been annexed or developed.
So SBCAN can send an action alert out even without the board taking a position. So I think we should do that.
There you go. What do you think, Janet? Should we do that?
Yes, please. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thanks, Jeannie. Anybody else have anything on this one? Then
It's really weird that you're having two items that are like, what if you have that monstrosity, whatever it looks like there, and you have I know it probably isn't going to happen, and then you have the oil trucks going down. It's a bad accident waiting to happen. And
I hadn't put the two things together like that. Thank you,
And we've
Sarah.
got school buses where those oil trucks are going to be traveling,
yeah,
along with school buses.
yeah. So it's these two items have got to go bye-bye.
Yes.
And I'm not, I kind of adopted Lompoc for a little while, but I'm adopting it again.
So we'll do an action alert on this and about the May 21st protest hearing. And I think we'll put this on our board agenda, right, Janet?
Yeah,
So
yes.
Let's talk about it at the board. And okay, and thank you. And Jan and Jeannie, you both need to get together and talk about the kind of pictures that you like, because you've both got lots of great bird pictures. So there's Jeannie.
Oh yeah, I love that. Are those
Yeah.
yours, Jan? Did you take those?
I've taken bird pictures. I take bird pictures all the time. I'm lucky if I have my camera with me, but if I try to do them with my cell phone, it doesn't work so well. But those are birds behind me.
Yeah,
Yep.
those are penguins. So
Jan
what-
is
what was
out
that?
of town traveling more than she is here,
That's
Uh-huh.
which lucky for her. But
Those are
Not
South
for us.
African penguins, in case you want to know where those penguins are.
Wow. Oh,
I
that's-
love
Right.
Pingy.
Yeah.
All right, I was out
All
of
right.
order.
Next item, because, oh, by the way, at 6:30 tonight, the Lompoc City Council is having a special meeting on changes to the general plan.
Oh,
I don't have the energy to run over there, but I think I'll at least have it on in the background while I'm doing other things to see what proposed changes they're gonna have to the general plan.
I'm thinking, and maybe I said this when I saw you last, Jan and Janet at Art's Place, but that it's adopting the environmental justice element that was prepared and it was out for public review. That's an element of the general plan.
Yeah, well, there was no attachment to the agenda item when I looked at it the other day, so.
So we'll be done. definitely wrap up by then, because we always do, but maybe we'll wrap up quite a bit sooner because we didn't have that first item. And item 4 of the Santa Maria General Plan that I think will be quite brief, because I just want to report on what I've learned from the interim community development director, Dana Eady, who I talked to a day or two ago. And since the last time we talked about it here at a roundtable, really nothing has happened public-wise. The last thing that happened publicly was the city council on December 5th, I think, or 6th, approved a land use scenario that we had opposed vehemently to be the basis for the general plan. And that's a scenario that would add 1,000 acres to the east of town via annexation, 800 of which, all of which is currently farmland, and 850 acres of 1,000 is prime. And it's mostly all strawberries currently. And it's what you see if you're on 101 heading, if you're driving north after you pass the Rodeo Center or whatever it's called, and then you get down into the flat by Betaravia, and then you look across the strawberry fields to the mountains for a couple of miles. So it's all that land.
And oil wells. I mean, there's a lot of drilling right there
There's a
too.
few wells
Yeah.
mixed in. Mostly they're idle currently, but there are a few that move. Anyway, they approved that as the basis for the general plan, but added some 400 acres additional of new potentially annexed land around the event center, which is it's sand dunes is what they call it. And it was the formerly known as Bradley property that was
Bradley Ranch.
Bradley Ranch that had a proposal for some development many, many years ago, and that fell through. And there's California tiger salamanders out there, and there's other environmental issues. I mean, I don't know.
It was the precursor to Solomon Hills.
So nothing's happened since then. That they're in discussions with their consultants. She told me. I mean, the consultants are working on it. She was having a meeting today at 2 o'clock, and she was going to call me. That's what I thought when my phone was ringing right at the start of this. Maybe it was her, and it was another important call. But anyway, it was. She hasn't called me, but the consultant's been doing a bunch of work on the annexation study. They have not yet met with the LAFCO staff on this, and I think LAFCO would never approve annexing 1,000 acres of prime ag land into the city when there's other land, lots of other land that's within the city's current sphere of influence. It's
Mhm.
not that ought to be considered first. So there's no new action, and I thought by now they'd be about ready to issue a notice of preparation of an EIR on the general plan, but then again, we haven't seen a general plan, and she agreed, yeah, you have to have a general plan draft to be the basis for doing an environmental study. And the first step of environmental study is a notice of prep of an EIR. So when that comes out, we'll have work to do to study that and make comments on it. But before that, there's got to be a draft general plan, and there isn't one yet. There's a land use basis for it that we've objected to vehemently, but there's not an actual draft plan. So she's going to keep me posted, and we had a good conversation and agreed we need to stay in touch. And she had been heard from Nadia more. I tried to kind of offload some of this work to our staff, our other staff, and Nadia left last summer, and now Nancy's with us. And I don't think I'm not probably going to offload this one to her as much as I tried to with Nadia. I'm going to try to stay in touch with Dana Eady, and
Yeah.
like on a real regular basis, so I can know what's going on and report back to this group, and then we can take some action when something's really pending. So it's been
Just keep shaking those trees, Ken.
yeah.
Because it's getting because when you have to when you have to go to the city council agenda or even a study session announcement from the planning commission, what's happening in your town, it is really, really dismal communication, but it's typical.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the comment. You're right. So any other comments or questions on that topic? And, okay, so if not, are there other matters anybody would like to bring up?
So while you were gone, we brought up a whole bunch of other matters.
Oh, good, I
So
should
I'd
leave
like to
more
say-
often.
But if anybody'd like to bring up something that they didn't bring up earlier, go ahead. Okay, I think we got them all out.